Hello again, it's your friendly neighborhood host JT Wheatley back for another episode of the History Comics Podcast, this time with the life of Lily Renee, the Holocaust survivor who became a comic book pioneer. World War II and the events surrounding it had a profound effect on the world, and comic books were not left out. Behind the scenes, many of the creators of the Golden Age were not only Jewish but women, many taking up the jobs of the male artists who were drafted into the war or enlisted to serve. A notable one was Lily Renee, a Jewish woman whose journey to become a comic artist was as powerful as many of the stories she would later draw. Lily Renee Wilhelm was born on May 12, 1921 in Vienna, Austria, where she grew up. Her father managed the Holland-Austria Line, a steamship company that provided luxury cruises and cargo shipments. Growing up in an affluent family, Renee enjoyed ballet and opera, which she visited with her school twice a year. She also studied art and was already exhibiting a talent for so much that at a young age, it was actually put on exhibition in local galleries. However, things would change for Lily Renee and her family when the Nazis invaded Austria on March 12th of 1938 under the Ostwalds Union, where Adolf Hitler, who was originally from Austria, claimed that he was just trying to unite the German-speaking peoples of the world. This was especially bad as Renee's family was Jewish, a people that the Nazis fiercely hated and used as scapegoats. On April 10th, the Nazis formally joined Austria to Germany under an election in which 99% of the voters decided for Austria to join Germany, despite many voters being afraid to vote and Jewish citizens being denied the right to. The Nazis began confiscating Jewish property along with forcing Jewish store owners to mark their properties so the customers would not be discouraged to shop there. Eventually, the Nazis began moving the Jewish people to Vienna, with Jewish families there forced to accommodate others, like Lily Renee's. In addition, Lily Renee suddenly lost her school and many of her friends due to the changing attitudes about the Jewish population. It got worse for the family when her uncle Samuel was arrested and sent to Dachau, a concentration camp in southern Germany. Thankfully, he was released later because he had a ticket out of the country for Palestine. Samuel described the condition at the camp as horrific, such as standing outside in the freezing rain in his bare feet. Sadly, he would be arrested again a month later and would later die in Buchenwald, the largest concentration camp in Nazi Germany. Lily herself would have a close call when she went to get some elderly neighbors stamped, only to be rounded up with other Jews by the Nazis and forced into a synagogue. They were thankfully released, but this is just another of the many incidents that motivated the Renee family to leave Austria, but the climax came with one horrific event. Lily's family decided to leave Austria after the Kristallnacht, Night of the Broken Glass, on November 9th, 1938. It was initiated when a 17-year-old Jewish boy named Herschel Grispan shot a German diplomat in protest for the treatment of his family. In retaliation, the Nazis sent a Gestapo disguised as civilians to initiate riots in Berlin and Vienna to destroy Jewish buildings and attack the Jewish people. It was called the Night of the Broken Glass due to the shards of glass that littered the streets afterwards. Thankfully, the British government had fostered an agreement with Germany that allowed Jewish children to leave if they were under 17 years of age, and had a sponsor in England who would agree to take them in. For the Wilhelms, a family friend, Molly, agreed to help Lily as part of the Kindertransport, which meant children transport. Unfortunately for Lily's parents, Jewish adults had to promise to return to Vienna, but Lily pointed out that if they were able to find work for them in England, they could acquire a visa and move to there themselves. Thus, at the age of 14, Lily Renee left for England, but her trip was not uneventful, such as when a Nazi soldier destroyed a statue Lily made to remind her of home. Her train stopped in Holland before going to England. Unfortunately, Kindertransport lasted only from December 1st, 1938 to September 1st, 1939, but it did allow 10,000 Jewish children to escape Austria. It ended in the outbreak of World War II when the Nazis Germany invaded Poland, leading to England to declare war on Germany. 1.5 million Jewish children will eventually be murdered by the Nazis during the Holocaust. When Lily Renee arrived in Liverpool, England, she was able to live with Molly's family, the Keeleys, who lived in a suburb in Leeds. However, upon arriving, she found out she would have to do chores for the first time in her life, something she was not used to doing growing up in a rich family. She also had trouble adjusting to the English language, as while she learned it in school, it was naturally very different when spoken in his home country. Lily Renee would constantly write to her parents in hopes they would escape Austria. This proved difficult as she had a hard time finding work for them, which is necessary to acquire a visa to immigrate to England. In addition, Lily had to deal with Mrs. Keeley, Molly's mother, who hated her to the point that she avoided to tell her when dinner time was, thus leaving Lily to go hungry. Then, on September 3rd, 1939, Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain announced over the radio that Great Britain had declared war against Germany over its invasion of Poland, thus ending Lily's hopes of getting her parents out of Austria. Dejected with living with the Keeleys, she ran away, finding work as a mother's helper and then a nursing assistant as World War II had broken out. Lily Renee would end up suffering during the Blitz during this time, which ended on May of 1941, but not before killing 18,629 men, 16,201 women, and 5,028 children by the Nazi bomb. With World War II breaking out, refugees from Austria and Germany, even if they were Jewish, were classified as enemy aliens, which included up to 60,000 people and thus could be subject to arrest. This would include Lily Renee, who had her apartment searched by the Scotland Yard police and her camera confiscated. Soon, 30,000 refugees were shipped off to camps. However, when the United States entered the war, they were reclassified as Jewish refugees again. Meanwhile, when Lily Renee was 16, she learned her parents had made it to America through the Bloomberg House Central Office of Jewish Refugees in London that worked to reunite Jewish parents with their children from kinder transport. Lily Renee was able to board a ship to join them after staying 2 years in England. When she arrived, Lily Renee learned her mother needed an operation as a result of an assault from the Nazis, while her father got a job as an elevator operator. The family stayed in a rooming house at West 72nd Street on Manhattan's Upper West Side, and Lily herself would work as both a painter and a clothing model for Jane Turner, a well-known fashion illustrator. The latter job was a natural for Lily Renee, as she had grown into a beautiful young woman, something that would be a positive and negative in her later comic book career, as she would catch the eye of the right and the wrong people in the industry. Lily had decided to take up art again, painting the Turleon designs on wooden boxes on the 46th floor of the Rockefeller Center at the Reese Advertising Agency. She would later work on Woolworth's catalog for 50 cents a page, with the money going to night school, which included the Art Students League of New York and the School of Visual Arts. Eventually, Lily Renee got a job at Fiction House, one of the premier comic book publishers of the Golden Age. Like many professions during World War II, Fiction House was looking to replace its male penciler and inkers who were now serving in the military with female artists, which also included other notable female artists like Nina Albright and Fran Hopper. Lily Renee's first job was erasing backgrounds, and later she got to work on her own series, the supernatural horror feature Werewolf Hunter, in Ranger Comics number 14 through number 38 from December of 1943 to April of 1948. And then Jane Martin, about a female pilot who fights the Nazis, with these stories appearing in Wing Comics number 31 to 48 from March of 1943 to August of 1944. It was during this time that she started using her first and middle name as her pen name, thus Lily Renee made her professional debut. She later worked on science fiction feature The Lost World in Planet Comics number 32 to 49 from September of 1944 to July of 1947. Notably, Lily Renee would do exemplary work on Senorita Rio, a character she loved working on, about Brazilian nightclub singer Rita Ferreira, who also worked as a counter-spy Senorita Rio against the Nazis in South America. This feature appeared in Fight Comics number 34 to 44 and 47 to 51 from October of 1944 to August of 1947. Renee loved the character, which was originally designed by artist Nick Cardy, as she was allowed to be strong and adventurous while still beautiful and able to wear some glamorous clothes. Best of all, she got to fight and beat the Nazis, and was the character that most people associate with Lily Renee's career. In 1948, Lily Renee went to work for St. John's Publications with her then husband, artist Eric Peters, a fellow Viennese refugee and cartoonist, who also worked on magazines like Collier's and the Saturday Evening Post. There, they shared penciling duties on Abbott and Costello's comics from issues number 2 to 34 in April of 1948 to December of 1955, while Renee additionally drew romance stories in Teenage Diary Secrets and Teenage Romance. Peters and Renee also drew for the company Bordon, producing comic books starring its mascot, Ellis the cow. Lily Renee would end drawing comic books around 1949, shifting her career working on textile designs and jewelry, while also working on children's books and 5 paintings. In her personal life, she had one early marriage which she had annulled, and of course she was later married to Eric Peters, but that ended as well. Lily Renee would later state her only true marriage was to Randolph Phillips, a financial consultant who directed the American Civil Liberties Union National Committee for Conscientious Objectors during the 1940s, and later chaired the 1972 National Committee for Impeachment. The couple would have two children, a daughter Nina and a son Rick. Lily Renee would continue to live in New York City at Madison Avenue. In 2007, Lily Renee attended the San Diego Comic Con convention where she was inducted into the Will Eisner Hall of Fame, the nomination provided by the Friends of Lulu, a nonprofit that was dedicated to promoting female readership in comics and the female creators who made them. On August 24th of 2022, at the age of 101, Lily Renee passed away, survived by her two children and four grandchildren. Most importantly, she left behind an extraordinary life along with being one of the early female pioneers in the comic book world. The tragedy of the Holocaust is how many talented people were denied the world due to the Nazi regime's genocide. Thankfully, Lily Renee not only survived, but thrived in both her life and career. I would like to thank the chief source for this episode, Lily Renee, Escape Artist, From Holocaust Survivor to Comic Book Pioneer by Trina Robbins, with illustrations by Annie Timmons and Moya, a fantastic graphic novel telling the story of Lily Renee's extraordinary life. A great read for any comic book fan.
My name is Mark McCray, and I'm the author of The Best Saturdays of Our Lives.
I'm Dan Klink, co-host of the Best Saturdays of Our Lives podcast.
The Best Saturdays of Our Lives features programming trends from the 1966 television season all the way through the last hurrah of the early digital age of the 1990s.
On the show, if it's animated, we talk about it.
Order your signed copy today at tbsool.com.
And listen to the podcast at esonetwork.com and all podcast platforms.
And now it is October 5th, 2023, time for the favorite comic of the week. Birds of Prey, number 2, by Kelly Thompson and Leonardo Romero, which sees Black Canary assembling her new Birds of Prey team to go on their first mission, while also explaining why they need to rescue her sister Sin from the island of Themyscira, and particularly going up against Wonder Woman and the Anti-Amazons. Thompson does a great job getting this dynamic of these new Birds of Prey team together, and of course it explains why it has to be an all-female crew, because Themyscira only allows females on it, so that's one big explanation there. Also, it's great how the different dynamics work. Like Zealot doesn't want to fight Amazons, but Canary explains why they have to go and do this. And the first mission is great, shows off their action. And Romero's art is gorgeous, has a kind of cartoony style to it, very colorful, but a lot of fun, great action, great depictions of all the characters involved. So yeah, this looks to be continues to be a great fun series. Dusting off with that classic property of Birds of Prey for DC. And yeah, just definitely check it out. And with that, we just concluded Season 6 of History of Comics podcast. I was only going to work out 10 episodes this time. Might be too much perfection. Of course, life and everything keeps getting in the way. This is my pastime. I enjoy doing it. And I'll keep doing it as much as I can. But tune in again next week. I'll probably be back doing some classics and other things. Of course, it's October spooky season, so I'll be probably working on some creepy classics this time. But till then, go ahead and enjoy yourself a good comic book. And join me again, and then join me again next week for another episode of the History Comics Podcast.